Hello everybody, welcome back to the Olympia Raiders series. It has been about 2 weeks now since our conclusion of Season 4, where we lost, unfortunately, to the Washington Huskies in the Vegas Bowl, and then we had the off-season, and we had, I believe, a pre-draft show kind of showcasing the talents of Lance Roach and Dusty Hale and Prince Lefataupow. And originally this video was intended to be a spring game, and it just, as things changed, and you'll kind of hear and maybe see some of that on screen, really plans changed. We're going to be looking to go to, and I'll just go ahead and say it, the college football revamped mod, which is now entering, I believe, currently it's on version 14 that I'm on, and as of actually recording this, it will probably be on version 15, which will include all the MAC teams. A few thoughts to get just the revamped mod out of the way, kind of explained and what it does, how I think about it. The revamped mod is a community effort by modders, and it is essentially a reskin of NCAA 14. Now, it goes beyond just that, and I'll actually pull up what all it does exactly here. Give me 1 second just to see. It's funny, I thought on their page they had it listed here. I'll pull it up on their Discord. The biggest thing about it is it's a reskin of essentially NCAA 14. Like I said, every team gets their current uniforms. There are new teams such as basically New Mexico State, and this is kind of what's going to affect our dynasty, and you'll see what I mean when we get to it. Teams like New Mexico State are now replaced by Coastal Carolina, or teams like UConn, who we have scheduled. I believe our first game of the season is now Charlotte, which you can imagine might cause some issues for an existing dynasty, and again, we'll get to that in a bit. But that is one of the things it does. Teams get their current uniforms. It doesn't say exactly all that it does, which is kind of frustrating. But I believe other things it does is maybe works on the playbook a little bit, might change plays slightly or add new plays. It might tweak tendencies. I'm not entirely sure on all that. I haven't really noticed any real different gameplay. In fact, if anything, I think gameplay has gotten slightly worse since downloading College Football Revamped. So far, I'm not really the biggest fan of Revamped. What I'm more a fan of, and what I'm really excited to get to show you a bit of, is the modding that I initially did when I created this series. Was basically, I set Olympia to be the worst in everything. I gave them terrible ratings as far as recruiting goes, and you can see it in the fact that we have yet to get a 5-star. We have 1 4-star, I believe, in our history, and we don't even get a ton of 3-stars as opposed to 2-stars. Like, it's not as many as you'd think. Our recruiting really has been a struggle to this point, and if it wasn't for a good system and utilizing those recruits, you think about it, if you've ever played NCAA 14, and if you haven't, then I'll just explain it to you. Essentially, you pretty much by year 2 or year 3 already have a B overall team. Even if you were a bad team originally, like you were a D plus team, you get a good team by the end of it. It doesn't take long either, frankly. But what I did was made it where it really does take long. Like, I am in year 5, and my team, I believe, is just now a C plus, maybe a B minus. I don't think we're B minus, though. I think we are a C plus. And as far as our recruiting goes, we have yet to really I don't think we've had a top 30 recruiting class. I don't even think we've had a top 40 recruiting class. We've not been good at recruiting. We've been as good as, you can expect to be. And as far as the Mountain West goes, we've been top 5. But I don't even think we've ever really topped the Mountain West as far as recruiting goes, especially that year 1. That year 1, actually, ironically, we had our only 4-star in year 1 when we were independents and had no conference. I don't know how that worked out. Okay, so that's essentially what College Football Revamp was. The modding, let me get back to that. I've gone back to modding the game. I've been able to actually successfully mod the game without losing logos, without messing up the save file, stuff like that. And what that has meant is I've been able to really change out a lot of things about this game. I've changed stadiums to be named more accurately. I've changed, off the top of my head, I have changed team data. I've changed coach data, historical data. So Coastal Carolina, New Mexico State swapped, right? New Mexico State no longer exists, which they were in the Mountain West in our dynasty. So I've had to rename them to Coastal Carolina, and I will hopefully get the team colors working properly, which means that I've also had to reset their historical data. They now are at 0 wins, 0 losses. Coach data, like I said, I've changed. I thought about bumping up Olympia's recruiting ratings because I didn't know if they were bugged, but I've just found out that they take a long time to increase, which is perfect. I love it that way. I want this to be, if you think about it, Boise State had years of success, and even then, did people really want to go to Boise State? No. Even today, people don't want to really go to Boise State. I mean, they kind of were able to get their foot in the door, but not really. You think about UCF, who had a few good runs and is doing okay, but even then, they're not, at the top. They're not just running the conference every year. And that's despite having the best enrollment in the nation. I mean, they're like, it takes time to build a name for yourself and build really a team culture, which is exactly what I want from this series and is exactly what I'm getting. Okay, so what else did let me go ahead and pull up the editor so I can just see exactly what I did. And you might hear clicking in the background. That's fine. Like I said, this is just going to end up being an update video. Of course, there is, I do have gameplay going in the background. This was the spring practice. I did not do the spring game. So you may see some of D-Mac and Tyler Hunt going at it. They're not really competing. They're both going to be playing time. You'll see them running plays, though. No scout team out there on defense. And then on offense, against the first team defense, actually, you'll see the quarterbacks that we recruited. Okay, so let's look at team data here. So some interesting things I was able to change. Rivals. I'm not sure how well this will work, but I've tried to give Olympia, Utah State, and BYU as rivals. Currently, we only had Utah State, and I don't even think it works very well. Like, I don't think it actually gives us rival points. But we did have Utah State as our one rival. I've tried to make it where we have BYU and Utah as well. Don't know how that will work. We will find out. What else here? Let's look. Academics, TV exposure, coach prestige. Impact players I could change, but obviously those go by week anyway, so no big deal there. The big thing I was able to change, and one thing I'm really excited about, and we'll see this I think in game actually, was historical data as far as record book goes. I am so excited to say that I've gone through my series, I've watched all of my games mostly, and to about as accurate as I think I could have gotten them, I've made the record book tailor to a brand new school. So before we had Idaho's records, right? So any record Idaho had, we had. And we've been able to set some records, and if I just, let me load it up and look through here. Let me see where I find that. League data, stats and results. Where awards, there we go. Okay, and we'll open up the Olympia save. Oh, I can't do it at the moment, but essentially, we've had records that I've set with the Olympia players, and we've also had records that I haven't set, and I was able to change those to be the records the Olympia players set. So Zeke Roberts actually has the most receiving yards in a game and the most receptions in a game. Guess what? Now Zeke Roberts, who previously didn't have the most receiving yards because an Idaho receiver back in 2003 maybe, had 300 yards. Well, now Zeke Roberts' 190-something yards stands alone as a record. And it doesn't work exactly in that it doesn't say that I actually got those, which is fine. I only want it to show up in game now. So next time somebody has a 200-yard receiving game, guess what? They have the new record at Olympia for receiving yards. So this will make it a lot more interactive, a lot more fun. What else here? Coach data, like I said, I've changed a lot of the coach data to be more accurate. Bowl games, I can change the bowl games a little bit. I considered introducing a conference championship for teams with less than 12 teams, because at this time in NCAA, you could not play a championship game without 12 teams in your conference. And that changed in, I believe, 2015, like the year after or 2 years after. I don't remember exactly when, but there is no conference championship game. I could edit that in Don't know how well it would work, and really for me it's not important anyway because we have a conference championship, so I'm not worried about doing that right away. But that is something that could always happen. And then really the best thing about it is I'm going to be able to edit the depth chart for teams such as Utah. Utah has been trying to start Cameron Rising ever since Kai Linehan went to Utah, which really technically should be the case. Cameron Rising is a better overall player, but obviously Kai Linehan was the person I wanted to play. He is a Utah spotlight recruit that obviously was really talented. Hasn't panned out just yet at Utah, but I had to basically take control of that team and delete one of their coaches and then set their depth chart before the season starts, so then the rest of the season they would have that depth chart. Not a fun process, I'll tell you that, especially when I have to do it for every single Utah recruit goes through, that eventually, obviously for storytelling purposes, I want them to play, even if they're not the best player. Now, I haven't done it where you got a 60 overall kid starting at, linebacker over a 90 overall stud. But I have done it to where a more reasonable matchup would be just automatically won by the Utah player so that they would see the field. You'd see Lily Tao this season when we play Kentucky, or not Kentucky, Connecticut, or Charlotte as it will be renamed. So essentially it's really cool to be able to mod this kind of stuff. It goes a lot further than this. I can potentially change logos. I can potentially change Olympia. I'm not sure how exactly I can do that, but I might be able to update Olympia's uniforms. I'm not sure if I will even attempt it, to be honest. That does sound like a lot of work. The final thing I want to get to is the Playbook Editor. I have been able to start making my own plays, and let me just tell you, there are going to be some of the most badass plays you've ever seen in NCAA 14. I think they're going to top some of the college football revamp plays because I've been taking it a step further. I've been putting hours and hours into learning this, making my own spreadsheets, figuring out all the different coding to get these plays to work. Some of them do not work. They are struggle to get to work, but let me just tell you, it's going to be so exciting. I'm so very excited to start this season. We have Season 5 Week 1 pre-game coming up. It's going to be obviously a recruiting spotlight and also going to kind of get some comments and feedback potentially. So if you have any questions for this season, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I might discuss them on Saturday in our pre-game. And really make sure to check out my streams on twitch.tv/Mr. Fuzzyhead, Fuzzyhead with an I. I do play a lot of college football revamped, and I test out a lot of things, a lot of plays. So go ahead and give that a drop by, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.